like it never happened. All right. Hello, everyone. This is Mark Anthony with AI Edge Podcast, the place where we bring you the best of the best doctors in their niche. Today, I have a special guest. We have Dr. GolBerg. You can find him at drgolberg.NYC. And today, we're going to be talking about something that's very powerful, and a lot of people are missing about the body, how special the body is. The body was created to heal. And today we're going to talk about how to stimulate your body to heal itself. What is longevity medicine about? So today we have Dr. GolBerg here. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. And before we start, let's tell the audience just a little bit about yourself and about your practice and how you got into being one of the top practices in the area.
Took me a lot of years,
All right, we got some time.
and I keep learning. The key is you have to keep learning because everything developing so fast, especially now with AI. You have to be open-minded, especially in medicine. So my way started years ago, 36 years ago, when I left Soviet Union with my first medical degree in my back. When I got to America, I was about 24 years old and barely speaking English, started doing a lot of things, including driving a yellow cab, working as a busboy waiter. Then finally I realized that I still want to be a doctor. And thank God I found one of the medical school in New York, which had special program for foreign graduate physicians. And it happens to be osteopathic school, which put foundation for my future practice in medicine. I learned about philosophy, that our body has natural ability to heal itself and function and structure interrelated. And basically, we need to just stabilize it, balance it, and our life will be much, much easier and better. Unfortunately, even in osteopathic schools, very few doctors pay attention to this. This is just for them one of the ways how to become a doctor, any kind. It's basically osteopathic medicine is a similar medicine as allopathic. We have two medical systems in America. The difference is that osteopathic medicine teach you about the philosophy. And that's what I put in foundation of my practice, which I opened about over 25 years ago. And probably that's when I started the functional medicine concept, which later became longevity. Slowly, it's acquired the fancy name for itself. But the main cause is like not only live longer, but live more quality life. The years is not, it's not important. How we live these years, that's what's important. If you want to be old, but you want to function like a young person with young soul, young brain, young muscles, and all this depends on us. I just trying to help our bodies to achieve this all the years in a good state.
No, 100%. As it's going down, you build it back up. How does that work? With that title, it says how to stimulate your body to heal itself. When you say stimulate, what does that mean? That to me, it brings regenerate, or how would you say it?
That's later I created protocol which combines every known things, Eastern, Western, allopathic, osteopathic medicine to help to stimulate our bodies. First and the most, there is a certain mechanism inside us, which is called primary respiratory mechanism, which is responsible for this self-regulation of our bodies, and it has to be balanced. Everything about our health has to be balanced. Similarity with, like, let's say, acupuncture. The meridians has to be balanced. They put needles in the certain meridians to balance yin and yang, which I also using in my practice. And I learn how to balance this primary respiratory mechanism. It's very, very fine motions. Like everybody can feel the pulse. If you put your hand, you can feel the pulse on your wrist, on your neck, a lot of different places. The trained physician can feel this pulse inside our bodies. It's called primary mechanism because it was developed even before we were born. Before they were born, even fetus inside the uterus already have this mechanism. That's how early it's being developed. So we're using certain techniques to balance this. When everything is balanced, it's already more or less control our functions and give us more ability to stay stronger. Unfortunately, the aging starts very early, and all the diseases starts also early. When we're developing symptoms, it's already later stages. The main principle of longevity medicine, not to treat the disease, but prevent this from developing. That's why now we have multiple biomarkers. We can test genetic tests. The tools we have now, it's unbelievable. We can prevent a lot of things years before they start developing when they used correctly. A lot of hype about biohacking, testing. A lot of people do tests, but then they have no idea how to interpret them, what to do with them, and what all this means. It's very important to understand all these mechanisms, most importantly, to put all this together with knowledge of how our body works, what our body needs, and how to help it to prevent all the problems which we can develop later in life. So incorporating all these things together help to create more or less powerful mechanism which can prevent us from early aging. But most importantly, it's like we have a certain pyramid in longevity medicine. And the foundation of this pyramid is, of course, what we do, what we eat, how we sleep, how we exercise. It's lifestyle modification. Changing this, a very good example about lifestyle modification. Everybody, what if you ask anybody who is getting in their 40 or 50, what the most fear of their life? And they tell you, what is most fear of your life? To get old, what are you feeling most other than cancer?
Dying young?
Not even this. Brain-wise, memory-wise, cognitive decline, right?
Correct. You're right.
Unfortunately, this thing is genetic. And it's called, the gene called ApoE4. And we have about 75 million people in America who carries this gene. What does it mean? Let's say average person without this gene has a chance of developing Alzheimer's disease with age later in life, about 10 to 12%. People carrying this gene, these chances developing this double, about 25%. Only by lifestyle modification, we can bring them back on the level of people who doesn't have a gene. Only lifestyle modification. I'm not saying about supplements and medicine. That's how powerful our lifestyle is. Most important is what's responsible for aging. Number one is inflammation. Inflammation is like it's a huge thing. Stress, inadequate sleep amount, what we eat, and how much we move. We all developed from like the first people on earth. What they do, they hunt, they move a lot, they eat fully organic food, they exercise, they rest, they eat right. The rest is also a very important thing. We have to recover. With our life now, with a lot of stress and work, we forgot to recover. And everybody became fan of exercise, they push themselves, they work hard, they exercise a lot, but they're forgetting the rest. And without the rest, our mitochondria, our energy cells, they're tired, they're not producing enough energy, they're not producing certain enzymes, neurotransmitters, and all this is responsible for the early aging. There we can test our biological age, not only general age. There is certain tests we can test each organ age. We can see how it's aging. But why we need all this? When we start somebody on a protocol, longevity protocol, how we can monitor this person? It's okay, we do our biological age testing. We see which this individual person needs, his genetic predisposition to the certain diseases, his genetic predisposition. We can even find out which medications works better with your genetic type, which supplements work better, and even diet. Food sensitivity testing is a big thing now. And the gut health and microbiome, everything connected in our body. And very important to address all these aspects. when we're trying to reverse the age. But the best thing we can test, let's say we start somebody on a program, 3-4 months, we do the test. Wow, a lot of biomarkers improving tremendously. But it all depends on us. Without your help, without our help, without your own lifestyle modification, nothing is gonna work. Very common mistake. People like magic. Give me this magic bullet. Here you are. They call peptides. It became trend, right? I just had a call today from one of my friends. He said, I went to my esthetician and she looks so good. And I asked you, what do you do? She said, I'm getting peptides from a very great American place. I asked him, did she get it as a doctor involved? Did she get a prescription for these peptides? She said, no, it's very great peptides. And she offered me them as well. But he was smart enough to ask me if he should take them. Unfortunately, this is this huge market, and most of it, it's most of the peptides which sell on the so-called black market, they come from China. By the way, where they prohibited against the law there, and the people who using them, at least they're not getting any help. But unfortunately, some harm can be done as well. It's just a tool. Peptides, it's not a miracle. It's just a tool to help to improve signaling, recovery. It's a part of the big protocol. There is no magic bullets. It's multiple things which has to be organized and placed together for that individual person. It has to be individualized for that problem because we're all different. That's why we have different tastes in life and food and woman and man. It's all different. We have different neurotransmitters in our body which controls our mood, our preferences, and that's why we have to address it differently. But we never have to remember that our body is very powerful, and we have to take care of our bodies as well. Even thought about positive thinking, it's not like simple words, seriously. And believe me, over 25 years of practicing, I saw this a lot. Good example, what's the placebo? You know the placebo effect. But why it's working? Why? People getting better by taking just sugar pills. It's another proof how powerful our self-regulated mechanism. It's another proof our body has natural ability to heal itself. By thinking and knowing that you're getting something which can help you, make them get better. That's why people who getting sugar pills on a placebo study, it's not 0% getting better. It's very good percentage of them getting better compared to people who getting real medications. It's very simple. That's how we can prove our mechanism is power.
So you're what I'm hearing you say is that you're able to find the problem before it becomes an issue.
Yes, because all these biomarkers start to showing us before the problem develops that it's gonna build up. Nothing happens overnight. Even cancer doesn't happen overnight. It takes time for cancer cells to grow, to develop. Our body producing cancer cells every minute, certain amount, but fortunately our immune system is very powerful, it fights. But when disbalance created and the cells start to overcome immune system, something happening. What causing this? Viruses, bacteria, genes, we still don't know, but we can improve our immune system. We can remove toxins. We can heal the viruses and bacteria, and we can help this. We can prevent this cancer from developing. So we have genetics, right? We can change our genes, but there is epigenetics. That's a mechanism which turn these genes on off. We can improve that and have it turn off the bad genes and turn on the good. It's all doable now, thanks to AI and technology.
Sure. So how does it look like if somebody were to come into your office and they're like, "Hey, doctor, I'm feeling okay, but I have, Alzheimer's in my family, and I want to make sure that I don't get it in the future." How does that? How do you deal with that when you do the biomarkers? I mean, what does it look like if somebody were to come into your office? What's the protocol?
Like regular exam, first I listen. Unfortunately, it's the way medicine ended up today. When I started practicing, it was different. Today, unfortunately, a lot of changed. That's why a lot of small practice, private practice disappeared. Because doctors placed into the position, they don't have time to listen to the patient. It's very bad. So I listen. I listen to the patient. I listen all his problem. I listen about all his family history. And just by listening, I understand 50% what the problems are. Even before tasting, I already know practically what to expect. Then we do multiple biomarkers and genetic tests. And meanwhile, I start my program where I do balancing with the primary respiratory mechanism. I balance it. I love auricular acupuncture. I use acupuncture needles on earlobe, which I learned about 20 years ago from genius surgeon. He was American Japanese surgeon, Dr. Amura. He was practicing general surgeon, and he, in the mid-70s, performed appendectomy, but instead of general anesthesia, he used auricular acupuncture. That's how powerful these wounds are. So I combine this technique. First, all these tests, results come back within a month. But first, basic stuff we're getting over the few days, and we start correcting these things. We developing foundation. What's foundation? We modified lifestyle modification. Most of the people have weight problems. Most of the people has insulin resistance, a lot of inflammation, cholesterol. Now we used to cholesterol. Everybody cholesterol itself has multiple fractions. Until last few years, we would taste it like fraction of the fraction of the which really matters in cardiovascular or brain health. Everything about blood circulation, heart, brain, every organ depends on the blood flow, because blood carries all necessary nutrition to the body. When it's not enough, then it starts to create problems. This organ is underdeveloped or underfunction. What prevents blood to flow? If something restricts in the blood vessels. So what's the most common thing? Is plaque. It's cholesterol, inflammation. It's all together. Why some people has huge cholesterol and they don't have any heart disease, and some people has very low cholesterol and they develop heart attack, stroke, and early Alzheimer. It all depends on the health of the blood vessels, the inner lining of the blood vessels called intima. When person suffering from chronic inflammation, it's very small wall, blood wall, became like very little fractures, like became irregular, and the plaque start to stuck to the wall. When the wall is nice and smooth, nothing stuck there. But inflammation causes this wall small, like tears, and make it possible for the plaque to stuck in there. By the way, what happened during COVID? I even had this little my Instagram podcast, and I said during COVID we had this cytokine storm. It's a huge inflammation of the body, huge, and this was the number one cause. And I told right then it's going to create big problem in the future, which you start seeing now. All this huge inflammation destroyed the inner lining of the blood vessels. And that's why the people who had severe COVID, unfortunately, they became more prone to heart disease and the memory decline. Because blood vessels were destroyed, cholesterol start built up in the heart arteries, and amyloid plaque start to build up in our brain more. And how to prevent this now? Now, thank God, with lifestyle modification, at least we have some tools and we know what to do. Because if you test somebody and you find this person has the gene for, let's say, Alzheimer, and tell them, okay, live with it. There is nothing to do. Fortunately, we have protocols, we have things. Unfortunately, we still don't have the one medication which help with Alzheimer and cognitive decline. But hopefully, in the next few years, will be developed. As of now, most of them just controlling the symptoms. But adding protocols, I not denying any medicine. I use everything in moderation and in combination. It has to be working together. for the best results. So after all the tests done, we decided the protocol for this person. And then after 3-4 months, we retest biomarkers and all the tests and inflammation, and we see great results. And person feels much better. Weight control is huge. GLP-1 agonist. By the way, that's the magical peptides. I don't think if anybody knows what was the first peptide in medicine. Do you know what's the first peptide in medicine? Most common drug, probably. It's insulin.
Wow.
Simple. Now gel.
So it has a fancy name now.
What's interesting, the GLP-1 agonists, they came out on the market, I would say, about 15 years ago for diabetes only. And I like to study, I like to read. I found a very small article in one of the Swedish magazine that somehow they slowed down the Parkinson in a few patients. And my own father developed Parkinson back then. And I said, it makes sense because GLP-1 receptors, they all over the body. And the biggest concentration is in the brain. And I started using one of the oldest GLP-1 for him. And I kept him for good 15 years. He passed it for 84 years old. And he was diagnosed like 15 years before. Now it's a lot of studies and a lot of people using this for these purposes, even Parkinson, Alzheimer. They have a neuroprotective benefit, but not only weight loss. And for the weight loss, it has to be done correctly under the supervision of the doctor. And a lot of hype about compounding peptides. Of course, some of them are great, but you have to know which compounding pharmacy you're getting them from. And the best if it's done by the doctor. You can order now them, have a small consultation online, and they get you some peptides, GLP-1 agonists. Again, you don't know where you're injecting. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous market there. You have to be vigilant.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing it where you're not even seeing the doctor, which is not good. You want to actually go there, get your blood drawn at least.
Absolutely. And yes, unfortunately, it can cause cancer also.
Oh,
Very rarely, but yeah, the thyroid cancer. So that's why everyone who my patients they get in thyroid ultrasound and we check blood constantly. It's safe. It's safe. Good when it's done correctly. Everything is good. You know what's interesting? I think it's Hippocrates said. What's the difference between medicine and poison? Dosage.
wow. Wow.
Yeah. So everything good in moderation in our life. Same about the food. People asking, what can I eat? This can I eat that? Everything good in moderation. That's the key. Balance and moderation. And to do all this, we have to learn how to love ourselves. And this comes with age, understanding, and wisdom.
It's confused with vanity and mostly vanity. I think that's the problem that we see with the social media. We hear from a social media speaker who's got a bunch of followers. We think, oh, well, they got a lot of followers. They must be right. And sometimes it could be hurting us and not realize.
100%. That's the problem. People don't know how to differentiate what are they listening, who are they listening to. But most of them, they calling and they ask. Actually, it's good for us. They eventually people who realize something, they calling people who understand, and they're asking for advice. Like today, my friend called me and asked if he should take these peptides. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't have this luxury, and for some reason, they're scared to call the doctor. They're scared to find. I don't know why.
Well, it's because we have a thing called Dr. Google, Dr. AI.
Now, doctor, right? But it's great thing. Doctor, of course, we're also using AI. AI is a huge tool. It's a huge tool to put information together, to differentiate all these biomarkers, but analyze all this and feel the patient and feel the person and understand how to implement this for this particular person. I don't think AI ever learned this. Unfortunately, it's going to be more and more, and it's always the question, is the AI will replace doctors also?
Well, see, AI can't it can't do certain things. It doesn't have a pulse, and that's the big
For now, but
that's
can you imagine with the rate it's developing and how smart is it? What's going to be in the 5 years or
in the
10
few
years?
5, 10 years, 100%. But
It's
for
a
right
lot.
now, people got to be careful because if that system doesn't have all the information about you,
A lot of it does a lot of mistakes.
that's
A
my
lot
point.
of, and especially it's health related. And some people they getting in problems following ChatGPT advices. And
No,
it's very
I've seen it make mistakes, and I'll even correct it, and then it'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're right." I'm like
absolutely.
I'm
So,
like, "Wait a minute." I'm like, "Wait a minute. That's
but
scary. I thought
it
you
is
know
scary,
everything."
especially when you're using this for your own health, right? And start taking something recommended by AI.
You're right, but I think that the problem, or I don't want to say the problem, but the situation that we're in is that it's very new, it's very fresh. We need to be careful. And one thing that you can't take away, you might have a robot, but a soul is different with experience.
100%.
You can't, you cannot replace it. And what's happening is we're going into, remember the Terminator, the movie, which
Of
is
course.
very close to what's going on today. We need to be careful because it's going to get to a point where people are going to just want humans because they're sick and tired
Uh,
going on.
But it's
And
going to take years to get to that point.
I think a good 20 years.
Well, no, 20 years for AI to develop and replace people, but then it's going to take another 20 years for people to become tired of AI. So unfortunately, I wouldn't see that moment. Maybe
Yeah.
fortunately, even
Yeah.
with the longevity medicine, I don't think so.
Well, speaking of longevity medicine, and this is what I've heard from other doctors. I don't know how true it is, but they're starting to, they think they've figured out and cracked the code to where we could live to about 150. And I kind of believe that. And the only reason why, if you look at the longevity of 75 years ago, people didn't live that long. 80 years ago.
No, the average lifespan was 50, 60 years old.
I know. Now look at us. And not just look at us, but if you go back to the old movies, I'm an old movie guy. I love like the Twilight Zone and I love going back. And when you look at the people that were 50 years old, they look like they were 80. When you look at the people now that are 50, they don't look like there's something changing, and it's the advancement of technology. And think about
Yeah,
it,
but what changed? What you just touched a very great point. All this movie, people what is they will smoke a lot. Everybody with cigarette. My favorite show is Mad Men, right? Martini, cigarette. They like chain smokers. How many people smoke now? No one. Even young generation don't drink alcohol. The alcohol business in trouble. All this is lifestyle modification. That's what I'm talking about. Everybody try to eat healthier. No smoking, no drinking, everybody in the gym. Great, it's all good. But then add a little bit more and more
yeah, but
focus.
yeah, true. But what I don't understand is I think that the food 50 years ago, 30 years ago was a lot healthier than it was now.
Absolute food,
So
yes.
I don't understand why people are living longer if the food is being modified with plastics and arsenic and stuff like that. It doesn't make sense to me
Right.
in my brain.
Absolutely, yes. That's what the biggest problem. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's another problem. What's interesting, there is this is very popular now. They put your blood through the machine, clean the blood from microplastic.
The PRP, they do
No. Take your blood, put through another machine cleans the blood, clean blood from microplastic. But the problem is the tubes which blood going through, they are plastic. That's another problem.
they tell you to drink better water and it's in a plastic bottle.
Yeah, plastic bottle,
It, it,
it's real problem, especially when they warm and the biggest release of the microplastic when you open
it
the bottle.
releases.
Yeah, that releases. Again, it's if it's a little bit, but with years it's all built up in our system and it start to changing our hormonal level. It interferes with a lot of things. Can we avoid it completely? Is it realistic? No. But at least we can try to do something about that. Eat organic food, spend more time on sun, under the sun. We have to do something. It's better than nothing. Even one step, if you've never been in a gym and you're going there like for 15 minutes, it's much better than just sitting home on the couch and watching a show. Right? One step already is a victory for that person. But have to make the step.
But see, what you said was very powerful. Moderation. That's the thing. Yeah, okay, there's a lot of things that are bad for you. I mean, if you wanna be technical, when I go for a walk, it's bad for me because look at all the fumes from the cars. So, we gotta look at moderation, but we don't wanna be that person where we're so darn worried about it. Now, what I wanna go into, let's talk more about your practice. Let's talk about what are some of the things that you offer in your practice that people out here in the internet world would like to know so that they can, see how you can help them? Because I know you do a lot of pain management. Maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah, you mentioned PRP.
Yeah.
When I just finished my residency and I opened my first practice, it was like family medicine. I was seeing everybody doing everything, and pap smear, and my wife, she was assisting me during the GYN exams. That's how I started. But I was focusing on elderly people with end-stage degenerative joint disease, spinal stenosis, people with a chronic pain. Pain, stress, that's what makes their life miserable. And they were telling me, I'm 80, 70, 85 years old, but I feel young inside, but my body doesn't. I can't move. I have this young boy or girl inside me. He wants to go out, but I can't move. I can do this, that. But tools are limited. Injections, hormonal injections, or opioids. So I add to this right away. I would just my technique, manipulations, working with the primary mechanism. Then I heard about PRP. And I went to Germany and I learned from German veterinarian doctor how to do that. And I started injecting joints, backs, necks like 25 years ago. A lot of athletes, baseball players, hockey players were my patients and still are. So then, about 7 to 10 years ago, completely switched to PRF. Same concept, same plasma, same blood, but differences we don't add anything. It's called anticoagulant to prevent blood from clotting. In PRP, we're adding something to prevent blood from clotting, and the main clotting cells in our blood is platelets. So basically, we're adding something which suppresses platelets to decrease blood from, to prevent blood from clotting. In PRF, we don't add anything. We're using pure plasma. And the dentists, they are first starting doing this in bone graft, and they figure out how to use this. So I'm using this very successfully. But unfortunately, the older we are, our cells also getting older. Same with the stem cells and exosomes, which I also started doing about 20 years ago. I used to get it from the patients, from the bone marrow, fat tissue, but it was time consuming. It took the whole day to work with one patient. Now, thank God, we have access to materials from umbilical cord, placenta. It's absolutely not FDA approved, and we're doing this only for research purposes. The problem with this market, the quality of the material, where it's coming from. You can go to Mexico or Cuba. The best, the number one country for stem cells research back then was Ukraine.
What?
One of the first, like about 25, 30 years ago. One of the first clinic was there called emcells.com. Dr. Smekadov, I don't remember. They have the huge access to the material. The material was from abortions. In former Soviet Union, this is one of the way of contraception. Abortion was number one way of contraception. But the problem there was screening. I went there. I like to see the clinic. I went there. They didn't screen. It was a lot of hepatitis C and HIV back then. They didn't have good technology to screen the materials, but they were using for people with severe debilitating diseases. So, and for them, if they get a little hepatitis C and get better, so that's risks worth the rewards, the type of the situation. So same now, and I'm sure a lot of even third world country, I'm sure they have a lot of great products. But screening of these products is the most important part. Also, everybody's scared stem cells can cause cancer. Absolutely, they can. When the material taken from the cancerous tissue.
Wow.
The other thing, what about exosomes? Can they cause cancer? No, absolutely not, because they don't have a DNA. It's only very small particles carrying RNA. That's it. Stem cells basically bring exosomes to the place and release them. And these small messenger cells goes to places and tell everything what to do. This is great. I think they probably will be much more useful than exosomes with small the easily passing blood-brain barrier. They have much more action in the brain and everything. Again, when used correctly, when used, the material is screened and good. It's all about good material and good doctor.
So stem cells is something that you utilize in your clinic and you use more from the umbilical cord?
Yeah, more exosomes, yes. Exosomes or mesenchymal stem cells from umbilical cord to placenta, yes.
Do you feel
Only
like
for
the
research,
umbilical cord
only,
do you
only for research purposes only.
Okay, okay, exactly, let's put that right in there.
And it's not FDA approved.
Right, so do you feel like the bone marrow worked really well too?
Absolutely. Depends. It's easy accessible and on the younger people and depends for what condition. Probably I would say the fat. Depends how old we are, and the older we are, the umbilical cord exosomes probably more powerful. In some conditions, I combine them together. For joints, they need like foundation, stem cells and bigger, and exosomes and all this in combination helps better in regenerative medicine for the joints and orthopedics.
I always thought this is just again, I'm not a doctor, so I get to have fun with this. So I always thought that the umbilical cord worked better because it made more sense to my brain knowing that it's young. I feel
Absolutely.
like if I'm taking cells from my bone marrow and I'm 70 years old, yeah, it could work. This is the way I'm thinking. Yeah, okay, it could work, but doesn't it make more sense to get something that's young, youth, that's vibrant?
Absolutely.
Why would I want to? It
Very
just doesn't
young.
make sense.
If you're very young, okay, it's better because it's cheaper.
Okay, there we go.
You carry your own cells with you. That's why all the women now who giving birth just save your placenta.
That's smart. I never thought about that because you could ask them too, right before you have the
They
baby.
are they're offering a lot of services. It's also costly. I'm not sure what's the price tag on that, but
I
it's
think it's
worth
like 5 grand,
maybe. It depends on the lab, yes, but it's worth every penny.
but 5 grand is nothing if you think about the future because we're all going
Yeah,
to get older.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Man, that's actually pretty smart. Yeah. So, what are can you give us some testimonials of things that you've seen in your clinic that you've helped people where they can't come in with so much pain, and you've seen? I call them miracles. Because
I have a whole list of people they schedule surgery for disc, for herniation, disc herniated discs.
okay,
Disc, it's another hype. You know what happened with disc? When the MRI, first MRI pop was developed mid-70s, the spinal surgery went sky high, but people wasn't getting better, even some getting worse. So why? Now they run one of the study eventually saw the 200 people. I don't remember the exact numbers. 50 had back pain, 50 don't have a back pain.
right,
So they take an MRI, and the people who don't have a back pain, they have a disc problem, and people with back pain, they don't have a disc problem. Disc matters only the person already developing some neurological deficit,
Mhm.
like serious deficit, can look food, have a problem urination, going to the bathroom, like then it's calcified. Otherwise, it's soft. Same with the knee, with meniscus surgery on the knee. I always tell people, don't do this. Now the huge article just came out a few months ago. It's not only not helping, eventually, because of this, even laparoscopic surgery, you are pushing arthritis to develop faster. So I have a lot of people with this type of problems who we save from surgery and they functioning, fully functioning. People with multiple metabolic problems, sleep problems, and now we decreasing the biological age, where not only you feel, you can see the numbers. That's the best. That's the best proof how it's working.
Mhm.
It's now, but what's gonna be in few months and few years, it's even better. Everything, every day we have a group of doctors. We constantly communicating with each other, conferences, and we
Mhm.
exchange all new information because it's new developing field, and we need to know, we need to adjust and digest a lot of information.
Wow. So, since I know we're talking about pain management, but I know you do other things. I was looking at your website, and I noticed that you do things with the face for people that.
Why
Uh,
not? It's all part of the agent, right? But I don't do it with face. I always tell people Your beauty starts from within. Okay? When you feel better, the energy is different and you're
You're right.
getting less wrinkles. So, of course, I got involved in aesthetic medicine when fillers, Botox came on the market over 20 years ago. So we have two products, fillers and Botox. Everybody was frozen with blown faces. I'm like, oh, good. And back then, when I already learned about PRP, so I start using this on the face, a lot on the face, on the scalp, for the hair. It works great. Then PDO threads came on the market.
Mhm.
It's a surgical sutures, which first were developed in the 70s, and they were used in open heart surgery to close the sternum, the big bone here in the middle.
Threading.
Yes, these sutures. And they noticed that it helps to stimulate collagen. So they slowly transmit them to the aesthetics. And what's interesting, the first aesthetics video threads was developed in Georgia, former Russia, former Soviet Union, by Georgian plastic surgeon's family, father and two sons. And this company is still on the market. The product not approved in America. It's not FDA approved, but they're good. They're doing. It's a great material when it's used correctly. Why? It's natural. It helps to lift your tissue up, and at the same time it stimulates collagen. Then I start combine this with other biostimulating agents like plasma and like other
PRP, yeah.
PRF and few other biostimulating agents just to prolong the results because it doesn't last long. And I ended up getting results which last up to 18 months. For example, plastic surgery results last up to like 10 years, 7 to 10 years. And not everybody ready yet. People who young enough, don't want to have, a lot of people don't want to have a surgery. Always tell you have to decide for yourself. If you want to have surgery, if you're not ready, come, I can help you. But it's not the surgery. Procedure has certain limitation, but it's less risk, less downtime, less pain, and less expensive. In New York, plastic surgery goes up to 250, 2000, 1500 per face.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the PRP is
New
yeah,
York.
only in New York you're finding out. Everybody's like this.
Yeah.
PRP is probably last what with the blood when you put your own blood.
No, it's called by procedure called Dr. G lift up to 18 months.
Really? 18 months?
Yes.
Really? Okay. That's actually really good.
But unfortunately, the PDO threads got very bad reputation. Terrible. First, plastic surgeons got scared and they start telling people it's not good, and then you're not going to be able to have a surgery because you create a scar tissue. This was the first wave. Then they realized they don't want to lose the spot. I do train doctors how to do this procedure, so I know a lot of plastic surgeons come to learn. But then, and I teach a lot of providers. Now they do every, and some of the people I train, I feel sorry for patients they're going to be seeing. People, they have a lot of materials, a lot of these threads on the market. You can buy some on Amazon like for a few pennies. The material is not good and you don't get enough results. You don't get the right results when you place in the wrong place. But the good thing about this, it's very difficult to kill somebody or cause permanent damage. Unfortunately, bad reputation when the people using wrong material, cheap material, and then don't use it correctly. It's great material when it's used correctly. Like everything, well, everything in medicine.
Yeah. Yeah, just like food in moderation. I'm like,
Yeah.
so, wow. So it's interesting. So it's going to sound kind of vain. Okay. So I'm 49 years old and I've been thinking about when I hit 50 that I was thinking about doing PRP, get my blood spun and just get a little touch up. I don't need it really bad because I don't have a lot of lines, but just a touch up. Do you have a lot of people that say, "Hey, I just want to get a touch up. I'm not 50 yet, but I'm going to be 50."
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what the procedure. That's what Dr. Jill. It's a touch-up. It's not only PRP. It's a combination of different materials, biostimulating materials,
Okay.
which don't give you the fake look. You still look yourself,
Right.
but
That's
refresh and lifted. That's the key. You look like yourself, but
more
refresh and
vibrant.
lifted. Nobody tell you that. You ask you, what do you have done? No, they're asking you, my patients, oh, you just came from vacation, you look refreshed.
That's it. And that's what you want. At least
Yeah,
somebody like myself wants, you know. I mean, I know I'm going to get older, but I mean, why not? If you can do it, why not? You know, that's I call a birthday gift to myself. So, and then something like that, I would have to maybe every 8 months get a little touch up.
you'll see when you see some, yeah, that's what we're getting today. Like 8 months to a year from now, the materials also keep advancing, so we're going to be able to have
Oh, I
something that
see.
lasted longer. The thread itself, we use different material, different technology, and adding some new biostimulating agents coming out on the market. Biostimulating meaning they also stimulate your own collagen without giving unnecessary fullness.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Now, back on the PRP, I like PRP. You can tell.
I
Um,
do tell.
that do you use that? Would you say 50% of the time in your clinic, 60%, 30% for like pain management? Say tennis elbow, your knee. You know, your
Yeah, I
maybe.
agree with you. It's one of the main tools.
Okay. And do you use any other modalities in your office? Like, I'm going to bring something up. I've never brought it up with you, but like shockwave or anything like that, or
Great,
something.
great thing. I don't have this. I use some magnetic fields. I use an acupuncture. I use different, but shockwave also a lot of tools. I'm not like specializing in pain, so I don't want to put everything in
Mm,
one
right.
place. Two offices. One of the offices like 4,000 square feet. I use more tools there. Another office smaller. I'm limited with space. I limited
Wow.
with space.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. I tried it. I tried it one time.
Shockwave
Shockwave.
is a great thing. Great thing. Great.
I
Again,
know
it
it
stimulates.
activates the stem cells
It
or
activates what? It activates your own body ability to heal
yes.
itself. We're
Mhm.
back to the square one.
I love you. You're good. Yo, we're back to square one. So if you can give us maybe a testimony on something that you saw that happened that got you into this practice, was there something that just said, this is why I want to be a doctor to help people? What was that push?
What happened with me when I came here, I was very young, and because of different educational system in Soviet Union, I graduated. We have 10 years school. So I graduated high school at 16 years old, and I got into the medical school,
Wow.
which I graduated 22.
Wow.
Okay, I was barely a doctor, probably like yourself. And I believe me, I feel sorry for people if I would start practicing back then. So when I got here, I'm young, and like I start thinking, what other thing? Let me see what else around. And as I told you, well, few 2 or 3 years later, when I was doing successful in the jewelry business, at one point I start to suffocate, and I said, no, this is not mine. When I got here, I wasn't sure I want to be a doctor because I was too young to understand who I want to be and who am I. Then later, having a little bit more experience, I understand, no, that's what I want to do.
I see.
That's why I think system here is much more safe for that. The people 12 years in school, then college, and only then they decided if they want to be a doctor because it's important. You have to be more mature and you know better. So that's why I just felt it, that I can't do anything else. I want to be real. And then I pushed myself through another medical school. Fortunately, it was only 3 years. And I love it. That's like really open my box. And believe me, being a doctor, you can't be in a box. You can't be doctor by the book. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna help a lot of people. We all can read the books. It's like AI. You can't be like doctor like AI. You have to soul. You have to have a soul and have to feel outside the box and think outside the box. That's the key in my practice. Use every tool possible, but most importantly, do not harm. That's it.
Wow. You know, Dr. Goldberg, you are a wealth of information. I love your passion to helping people. And you hit everything on the dot about stimulating the body. You kept coming back. Stimulate the body so we can get the inflammation down. Let's get it to heal. That's what it was created to do. And your focus is helping people to have that longevity from what I'm seeing. And I just want to say, everybody out there in internet land, if you are in the New York City area and you're looking, or I don't want to say you're looking, if you've tried other doctors and you're like, why am I still in pain? You don't give up hope out there because you haven't tried everybody. You want to go to Dr. GolBerg, talk to him, just like his friend. His friend called him up today and said, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about these peptides? And he was about to pull the trigger to get it. He goes, wait a minute, stop. You want a doctor that's not just going to sell you something to make a buck. You want a doctor that cares, that goes. I mean, the guy was 16 when he graduated from high school, and he's been doing this for how many years now?
Practicing medicine 20. I finished medical school, second medical school in 96.
Wow. Okay, I graduated in 95. So, guys, you want someone that's not just educated, but that's passionate about getting you back to longevity. So again, thank you so much, Dr. GolBerg. And if before we leave, I'd like you to just tell everybody where you're at, your address, and just where you're at so that people can find you.
I have office in 910 Park Avenue in Manhattan, and my other office in Brooklyn, in South Brooklyn, on Shipshead Bay Area, 2361 East 14th Street.
Awesome. And your website?
DRGOL, B as in boy, ERG.NYC. My predecessors, they lost D from my last name. And out of millions of GolBerg, I don't have a D. That's why it's easy to find me. GOLB as in boy. Yeah, you know that. You made this.
I know now. You're bad, but thank you so much. I appreciate you and I love your passion. And I'll tell you what, when I'm in town, you're going to be one of the first people that I see. And I'm not just saying that. I've never been to that area. Also, my son's been bugging me. Dad, we got to go there. I was like, okay, but now I got a reason to go there. I'm
Looking
not,
forward to meet you in person.
I'm not joking. Thank you so much, everyone. Now remember, caring is sharing, my friends out there in internet land. Share this. If you don't have any pain in your body, I'm going to tell you something. I'm 49 years old. I'm pretty healthy. But as you get older, you start to get pains. Don't ignore it. Don't wait till it's too late to where you have to get surgery. It's time to get that body regenerated. And sharing is caring because one video could change one person's life. Let's not think about ourselves. Let's think about other people that we can help to make this world great. Thank you so much, doctor. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye bye. Thanks a lot.